This is Do It for a Living, your source for inside information on the future of automotive performance.
So you always continuously got to keep moving, and you can't stop. And especially if you're a small family business, your income is like what keep your shop moving, those cars. When you don't have a big budget sitting in your bank account. So you want to be sure every single car, you're going to plan ahead, like what's coming, what's leaving, and it's always communication.
What's holding you back from starting or growing your business into what it can be? Well, if you're listening to this, it's not a lack of information. What you're about to hear is all you need to get motivated and start making waves. Do It for a Living podcast details the journey of today's true players in their own words. Find out how they broke out so you can too. The time is now. The time is always now.
Welcome back to another episode of Do It for a Living. I'm Kevin Dubois. Today we've got the dynamic duo of Mike and Rosie Welch at Road Race Engineering. If you're on the West Coast, you may be familiar with them. They do a lot of time attack. They're involved in Formula Drift. They're really like a road racing oriented shop, so that's a lot what they deal with. And I personally have met Mike on several occasions at such things as like Pikes Peak and Global Time Attack, and then every year we have dinner together at SEMA, and Rosie's usually there at SEMA as well. So Mike, Rosie, how are you guys doing today?
Hey, what's up?
Hello, guys. Hello. We're just doing great. We're just back from the racetrack. We have a wonderful weekend, and we're so excited. Thank you for inviting us and make us part of your show.
Awesome. And yeah, it's a late Sunday night for us, and so you guys have been out at the track all weekend, so I know you're probably tired. So
Yes, we are. That's what we do, but we love it. So it's fun.
Okay, and so if anybody ever calls Road Race, it's almost always that Rosie's the one who answers the phone. So she's usually the person at the front desk answering the calls and handling all the bookkeeping and stuff. And Mike is the guy in the back there wrenching on the cars, doing the race car stuff. And so that's kind of the dynamic they have there. And they have other people working there as well. So we'll kind of get into the story here. So, Mike, why don't we go ahead and get started with you? Like, go ahead and tell us your background. What got you involved in racing? What's your education, your training, your background? Go ahead and tell us your story.
Yeah, basically I started out doing body work. I was a body man for 15 years, and I was always interested in racing. And just the best way to get close to the racing was I volunteered to be a corner worker for the SCCA. And in doing that, I mean, you get, really up and close, and I actually kind of got a little bit too up close. They say the corner working is like 99% sheer boredom with 1% sheer terror. And I was working a race. I'd been a corner worker for about 3-4 years, and I was working a race at the last NASCAR race at Riverside. And Rusty Wallace got in the back of Darrell Waltrip, the Tide car back then, and just sent him through the S's. And myself and John Dillon, a few other guys were at the corner. And just this Tide car just came at us, just flying backwards, and came right through the corner station. So I was working blue flag, I was on the yellow flag, so I'm facing away from the traffic. John Dillon was working blue flag, and all of a sudden his eyes just get really big, and he grabs me and just like starts running. I'm like, why are we running? So instead of just running, I kind of instinctively look back, what am I running from? And here comes this Tide car backwards, just blasting through. And there's YouTube video of this race, and you just see this little white guy, we all wear white, and you see this guy just kind of scampering, and that's me, and then just disappear in this giant dust cloud. And I made it over the wall, but right as I was going over the wall to get away from the car, the car hit the wall and came down backwards, and then that was it just kind of clipped my leg as I'm going over the fence. I came probably 6 feet from dying.
So it did hit you, though. It hit your leg?
Yeah, it hit my leg enough I had to go to the infirmary. It's not like gushing blood or anything, but it's just I had to go to the infirmary and get it checked out and make an incident report. And I flagged one more race, and I was just too freaked out looking over my shoulder. I couldn't put my back to traffic. I still wanted to hang out and be a corner worker. I mean, just be a worker at the track. So I got into tech inspection,
Okay. And so that kind of got you into doing your own thing, not working at the races. You were started building cars?
So I was doing some freelance stuff for Rod Millen and got to meet Reese back when I was a little kid, just come on over here for summer vacation. We were working on one of Rod's mechanic guy named Bill Morton. He had a little Cortina that he wanted to fix up to go rallying here. So it was a little right-hand drive Ford Cortina. Paint the car for him, and we did some work on the car to get it ready. He'd rallied it before in New Zealand, and he had it here. And so I was his navigator in a rally, but I'm sitting on the wrong side of the car, basically. Totally. You feel, as a navigator in a rally, you feel out of control, and then sitting in the driver's seat with no steering wheel, basically, really felt weird. But after realizing we weren't going to die, for the first daytime stages, and then going into the night where you really couldn't see the cliff, you're about to fall off and die, started to relax and have some fun. We did pretty good in that real rally. Then he decided he wanted to build a Mazda 323 GTX, and the GTX, he picked up just a street car and he put a roll cage in it, and I helped him, do some stuff. We were going to, together, I was going to be his co-driver, and then he's going to be the driver. We're just going to do some little local club rallies. And about that same time, Rod's like, I don't really want my guys running rallies or racing by themselves. They just kind of got frowned upon. As he had the car built and prepared, the employees doing their own thing, just you can kind of get the vibe that it just wasn't quite approved, Okay. So he ended up getting a better offer, a better job, right about the same time that Mazda cut back all their pro racing budget, because they cut back Jim Downing, Rod Millen, somebody else, and they went to pure club racing support. That's when Millen, they lost that big piece of budget, and just about everybody there went their different directions. I think John LaPlante, the engineer, stayed, and just about everybody bailed at that time, not knowing what was coming up. Rod ended up getting hooked up with Toyota and then rebuilding the shop and the crew. But all the Mazda people basically went all their different directions. And Bill got a job working for Toyota Team Europe. And so that left the car here in the U.S., and he ended up selling the car to Mazda's PR guy, Mitch McCullough. And so as he's selling the car to Mazda's PR guy to go do some club rallies, he's like, hey, Mike knows the car. He can help you with it. He's helped build it, and he's, pretty good and handy at the track and doing this rally service. So, here's your car. Mike knows about it. I'm out. So he took off. And then, so I started working with Mitch when he bought the car. And he brought in his co-driver, was going to be his friend, Scott Webb. And Scott Webb at the time was HKS's marketing guy. So he had a team running the car, was, Mazda's PR guy and HKS's PR guy together, And so it was a pretty good little deal. First rally he goes to, it's like a little rally sprint, and it's at Glen Helen. It's like a dirt bike park, and basically they're running the water truck road around this dirt bike park with all the double jumps and triple jumps and everything. And just the way the road ran, they had to go over one of these jumps. It's like one of the pretty big jumps. They tell all the guys, hey, slow down at this place. You're just gonna, just go over like a big speed bump. But Mitch, being new and his first time in the car, he thought, I'll do something. It'll look kind of cool. Might be a little rough, but I got good suspension. He had some good Bilsteins on it. It can take it. But before getting in the car, he's like, hey, Mike, you want to ride? And I'm like, no, I'm good. I'll pass. I've been in rally cars. I've done it. And then Scott, he's all, ooh, me. And it's like, all right, you go, guy. And so Scott jumps in the car. They take off, and they come flying at this jump. And I'm in the stands with a video recorder, an old VHS recorder. And this little kid in the stands just sees the car charging at this jump. And this little 10-year-old kid just goes, wow. And then there's me going, whoa, as the car just went over higher than these telephone wires. And then you hear Robert Garcia, is the first time I took him to a rally. He's one of my employees now. You just hear him going, yeah, he thought rallying was the coolest thing ever after seeing this poor little car. So basically they cleared the double and just landed augered in nose first. The car bounced and then wrecked into the berm like at the end of the straightaway. They just this incredible air they got in this little 4323. And we rebuilt the car. I actually fixed it in my garage, replaced the frame rail, the whole front end, all the stuff. So I fixed it just like I always do. And they went on that year. They won the California Rally Series. They won the all-wheel drive open class, rookie of the year, all this stuff. And this basically ran the car out of my garage. And the navigator, Scott Webb, he's like, "Well, you're pretty cool, working on stuff." I'm like, "Yeah, I do all right." And he got some money, so he had some family money that he wanted to invest. His grandma, I think, said, "Here, do something good with this," And so he wanted to open a shop, and so he's looking for a partner. And his idea was to have something kind of like a Kansai, the HKS Kansai deal they have in Japan, where it's like an approved shop where they, HKS can recommend somebody to go to, and you just get, top-notch, top deal. And they, so he tells HKS that, "Hey, I'm leaving." And, the whole Japanese culture thing, you don't leave ever. You're company man for life. They got that whole, I forget the name, what it's called in Japan. But when he announces that, "Hey, I'm going to open, just all the enthusiasm in the world, I'm going to open this shop. It's going to be like a Kansai shop and everything." And they're just shaking their head going, "Scott, you have dishonored us." And, yourself, your family, your race, just they really didn't like that he was leaving. So he had some money. We opened Road Race. This is late 93, early 94. That now, so Millen's out of the Mazda business for the most part, and so I've got an opportunity to open up a shop. And we started out in Los Alamitos here in SoCal, and Scott is the idea guy, and so we got some nice uniforms, painted the whole shop, everything really cool. Bought some nice, put together a nice showroom. We had some pretty good money to start out with. Investment money. I didn't have much to start with myself, but Scott did pretty good. He had lots of big ideas, lots of long-term stuff coming from. He'd been at HKS for maybe 5 years, so being a marketing guy, college-educated guy, everything, he had all this long-term marketing but not a lot of short-term. Like, let's get this in and out now. So we had money to work with. We went through the investment money pretty quick. He knew everybody in the industry, like from, manufacturers like Mitch, at Mazda, we could get, good manufacturer projects. He had a friend from Isuzu, Brian Farnsworth, is Isuzu's PR guy, marketing guy. He knew like Larry Saavedra from Sport Compact Car. One of the first, Larry Saavedra took Sport Compact Car, used to be like mini trucks and stickers and weird stuff. And he said, he came to our shop in 94 and said, "I want to make it be like European car, but for Japanese imports." That was, he sat down and, I was there at the meeting, him and Scott talking about how to do it, where to go. So he's super well connected, got us in all kinds of magazines. We were in Turbo Magazine, we were in Sport Compact Car, a bunch of issues, basically, you can write your own article. Taught me a lot of marketing stuff like that, but we still weren't paying the bills enough for the, the nice building we had and the overhead, and to be able to take salaries. It just wasn't working. And he went through some pretty good money and then got another loan from his dad, and his dad was a pretty good, big, important businessman, multinational CEO kind of guy. And he got some more money, and it still wasn't turning enough of a profit, even though, now we're starting to get, a little bit of a name for ourselves. And we just started kind of turning the business towards Mitsubishi. He had the blue Eclipse at HKS. They had two Eclipse project cars. One, Edwin Manguti had a red one, and then he had the blue one. And so he knew, Mitsubishi's fairly well. But otherwise, I was working on just whatever came in the door. Okay. And it could be a MR2 turbo 1 week, and then next week, doing a clutch and a Supra. The next week, just some guy wants to put Super brakes, the twin turbo Super brakes, but on his older Supra, or just always doing weird, different projects, but we weren't specializing in anything, so it was kind of hurt. We had a few ads in magazines, a little ad in the back of Sport Compact Car or the back of Turbo magazine. That's how you got things done back then. Back then it was just basically Nopi.
Is this still 90s time frame?
Yeah, this is like 94, 95.
Okay.
And so we basically suffering pretty bad. And he asked me to put some money in, and just like, it just wasn't, he was doing all the marketing decisions and what to do, where to go. And I was more in the back of the shop. So I wasn't really willing to risk my money. I had a house, so I didn't want to take any equity out of the house for somebody else to, do something with it that I didn't really have control over. And so I'm like, no, thanks, but I don't feel comfortable, don't want to, not gonna. And he kind of resented me for that at the time. And so he decided he wanted to try to sell the company. Like, okay, we'll try to sell it, but it wasn't really much. We didn't have much blue sky to sell at the time, because we'd barely been in business 18 months, and we had a good name for what we were, but it's just there was a little bit of internet then. He's on these CompuServe news groups. It's just everything was
email lists or whatnot.
Yeah. And arguing some little plain, very very DOS looking chat room. I'd see him come in the office late at night, and he'd be arguing with the computer and like, look at this idiot, number, dad, something says that thing's stupid. The more things change, the more things stay the same, I guess.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't Sparkle Bunny 69 or Clown Fart this says that. It was number says this. So he was just barely kind of getting his feet wet in the online marketing kind of things, participating some, I guess, they're news groups back then. That's what they're called. I don't know. I didn't really have much of a computer deal then. And so he tried to sell it. There wasn't much other than, about half the tools were mine, half the tools were the shop's technically. And we had not much inventory. We had probably maybe $20,000 in debt and a pretty sizable lease. And he just got tired of being poor and not racing. He was a racer himself, so he had a sports Renault, and he'd raced a Supra before, so he was an SCCA racer, and he never got to race so little as when he had his own race car. Basically, I mean, he had his own race shop, and he never raced so little as when he had his own race shop. So I come in one day on a Saturday, and he's got his truck about half packed. He's just packing up his computer, his desk, his toolbox. Got his race car on a trailer, and he's just, I'm out. And I'm like, excuse me? He's like, I was like kind of in his face, like, what the hell is going on? And he's like, well, you want to hit me or something? I'm like, no, but wait, what? And he just like, I'm out, I'm done, I can't do this anymore. And that was his way of just coping with it. So he basically just left. And so now I'm standing there going, now what? Where do you go from this? So this is like late 95, early 96. And kind of did some soul searching, and I took out a second of my house. I got like $30,000 on a second for my house and paid off the bills. I ended up paying about $14,000 worth of it. He took some of the debt, and I ended up with about $14,000 of it, and I had a little bit of money to work with. Told the landlord that lease ain't up, but I'm out, and partner left, and you're free to find another tenant. And he found one pretty quick. Within about a month, he found another tenant that would move in a month later. So I was able to stay fairly current on the rent, but
okay.
That was it. Found another building that was $1,000. I think our rent at the time was $2,800 at the first building, kind of a nice little business park. And I found something a little further south in Huntington Beach that was about $1,800 a month. So that helped a lot, and much smaller. Went from probably 2,500 square feet down to 2,000 square feet. Went just a little bit smaller, enough room to have to work on 3 cars in the shop,
okay.
And then be able to at night be able to park in like another 3 or 4 on top of that, and then not much of a showroom, a little bit of office, and but we were able to make it work. And right about the same time, one of his buddies, a guy named Bob Burke, he was taking some business class, and for the business class, he had to just make this website thing. And basically, that was where you take all your catalogs, your information, your story, your pictures, and you put it on this internet thing that was out there somewhere in some other computer. And so I gave him the pictures, a little flyer we were sending out. You know, somebody called for information. We'd send out a little flyer with a little parts list of things. We'd kind of already started specializing in the Eclipse. I was able to buy a bunch of stuff from Dave Wallen, some inventory. Dave Wallen was a factory Mitsubishi racer throughout the 90s and 80s and 90s, and he was getting out of it. Mitsubishi had long, since cut their budget. And so I had a bunch of Mitsubishi inventory. We had some knowledge. The customers were nice. They all dressed the same haircut. They all wanted the same parts, and it was really easy to specialize in that car. The Eclipse was super easy to work on. The second generation had just come out, and just really responded well. And to mods, to power, and easy to work on. You could do a clutch a lot easier than a lot of other cars, or things. So his buddy does this website thing, and he tells me what it is, and we just got roadraceengineering.com. Seemed kind of long, but Road Race was already taken. And then so I didn't have a computer to look at it, no internet connection, so I told a customer, hey, we got this website thing, check it out. And the next day the phone rang, and the next day the phone rang, and the phone just didn't stop ringing until like the .com bust in like 2000. We just, like when you're standing on the deck of the boat, you see the guy, the anchor goes overboard and the rope's spinning out, and you got your foot in the middle of the rope, and it just takes you and off you go, kind of thing. that was us, So I don't know if Scott would have stayed like another couple months and done that internet website thing, then
he would have
might
been
have been
fine,
able to pull it off. Yeah, maybe not. It was a lot. It was tough. It was still tough, but we did really good. The internet back then in the late 90s, it was us, Busher, Extreme Motorsports. It was like 3 Eclipse shops in the whole country, and nobody else knew what to do with them. About the balance shaft can be right side up or upside down, even though the lighting's marked up. Like nobody else would know this. Right. And just all the little things that Mitsubishi would respond to, the way the airflow meter could be outflowed, the way so you could be the specialist in any car, and then just step in a Mitsubishi and just not be able to get it off your shoe because it just wouldn't run right, wouldn't be fast, and then you end up at an Eclipse shop like us or Busher or Dream, and also they look like gods. Even though we're just normal people, but you could just, if you knew what you're doing, you could really get some good results out of the cars.
I think that still applies to today.
There's a lot more. Now anybody can have a shop, so to speak. So there's the guy working out of his garage, and he's got a little name on the internet, and then everybody wants the new fashion shop. Everybody goes to Road Race, so I'm going to go to this guy nobody's ever heard of, kind of thing. So we were still doing a lot of rallying in Southern California. It was really strong. We had like 8 local club rallies, and then there was the SCCA national stuff going on. So the Eclipse worked really well. The underbody on the first generation club was just built for rallying, and so we service at the rallies. We service for like 8-9 cars at each rally. We'd supported the stuff I learned from Scott. He had worked with this UFC sports car club guy named, there was some kid named Ryan Flaherty was just one of the little guys, and then the main guy left, and then left Ryan Flaherty in charge of the UFC sports car club. And so we go out and take our truck and tools and equipment, we get to run for free, and then we just basically work on all the cars. And so they started doing track days, and for their members, and then he started doing bigger track days. He had his own little deal. He ended up, now he's the president of NASA, Brian Flaherty. So we were there when he got his start, and that's kind of where I learned to where to go to the track and help guys, and that's where you could get some customers by just helping people at the track, or being there with a bottle of brake fluid, a floor jack, a trailer ride home, or even a AAA card home kind of thing. We end up, between just goodwill, even if we didn't fix it, or at least, making sure people got home safely and we're able to continue the day. Guys lose his mind. I just blew up my car. It's like, dude, just your intercooler pipe popped off, or, your spark plug gasket a little bit big. Oh, okay. And then off he goes again. He's still running, bleed somebody's brakes or change their pads. So that kind of helped us, get our foot in the door with a lot of, hardcore track people early on. So at the same time, Kirk Miller had just opened up Gretty USA. He had his own shop in New Jersey, and he got tapped by Gretty to be Gretty USA. And so he's going to be there. Kirk did really good at the right time, and he saw us for who we were. We got invited to all our parties. We got the best terms. He's like, wow, Scott Webb from HKS and this guy, Mike Raleigh. Cool. What do you need? What do you got? What can I do to help? And then when Scott left, and I go to him like, hey, I need some time to pay off the bills. This is what happened. We'd owed him a little bit of money, a couple grand or something. He's more than willing to work with me, and it's going to take a little bit to pay this off, but still sell them to me, even though technically we were bankrupt. And he just got really, because he didn't want us to go to HKS. He's trying to steal us away from HKS without knowing that we were already, redhead stepchild from HKS. But at the time, HKS had everything for the first generation Eclipse that you needed to go fast, but they didn't do that much with the second generation. And Gretty hit the second generation really good, really hard, and you could build an entire car, turbo pipes, intercooler, gauges, you name everything but the AFC back in the day. You could build an entire Gretty car. So we were now going into the 2000, so we ended up being like the number 2, number 3 Gretty dealers, just based only on our sales with the Eclipse. We were able to be one of the top dealers. And Kirk left Gretty, ended up going to AEM with some little sleepy company with just red, blue, and silver pipes, and then turned them into what now. So Kirk does a great job of just turning a company around and figuring out what it takes to keep little shops, busy working, making money, with their pricing policies, with, what they're doing. It's really made a big difference in our early years getting the support we did from Gretty compared to what happened with HKS. The other day, HKS basically, for their own reasons went out of business, here, and now they're trying to get through Motivicity or something, but they're just completely off the radar for Mitsubishis. They may do something good for some car somewhere, but I wouldn't know it. I got this email from somebody at, HKS Japan, like, hey, I would like to come visit your shop. I'm like, yeah, come on down. And I started telling the story. They showed up through their poor little translator, and they're just like, kind of the same story. Once we started getting bigger now, so now it's like late 90s, second gen's going like gangbusters. We're doing a lot of mail order. This is before all the Yahoo shopping cart, add to cart stuff. You could just have a little website. Here's my stuff. Call up, email, order it. We'll charge you a card and send it to you. It's before you could just add to cart stuff. And we were shipping, 20, 30 packages a day. We had a shop. We're working, with cars parked everywhere. Landlord hated us, and it came time to renew the lease, and he just said, no, you guys got to leave. I think
everybody has that problem.
Yeah, they had this speed bump in front of the shop, and we used that to test the rally cars. There's a picture of Robert Garcia's car about 3 feet in the air off this speed bump dip thing. And, landlords, if you don't do that, I'll put it higher. Like, really, could you, kind of shape it a little bit better too? And so he just ended up inviting us to leave. And that's when we found that we're off to buy race gas up in Santa Fe Springs. And then I just drove by, and I happened to see the for lease sign on this building that we're at now. And so right about 2000, the end of 99, early 2000, we moved. That was probably the biggest single expense I ever had to do. It cost about $60,000 that I had in the bank account before I moved, and that I didn't have after we were actually in and settled. It was about $60,000, and time and permits, and we'd fudge a lot of stuff when we moved into Los Alamitos, and not knowing where we'd be mail order or cars or really what. And then when I went to Huntington Beach, I was like, yeah, I'm just Road Race Engineering. It's an engineering firm. Sometimes we might have a car in the shop just to check things, so I knew all the right things to say when I moved into the Huntington Beach shop to get around any kind of weird fire stuff or anything. And then Huntington Beach didn't really come out and do any inspections. Santa Fe Springs is an industrial city, and they know all the tricks and all the everything, and they actually do an inspection, and then they come out every year and look at the shop and make sure you're doing what you're permitted for. And that was a mess moving in there. We had, the shop is 6,000 square feet or 6,500 square feet, and anything bigger than 3,000 that's H4 occupancy, which is hazardous open flame type thing, had to be sprinklered. So what we ended up doing to get around that, because the cost of sprinklers would have been on me, was to wall off the shop and create a 3,000 square foot shop that would be where anything hazardous went on, any open flame welding. And so we had to build a firewall, 2-hour firewall down the middle of the shop, and the back wall, because it was on proper line, we had to make it into a 5-hour firewall. Didn't have to add sprinklers, but we had to add an exit door. So it's a concrete tilt-up building that we had to saw in an exit, like an emergency exit door, and then pour concrete so you got a place to walk. So I had to do a bunch of stuff, and it got to the point of, I would go to City Hall, and it's like somebody new was trying to help me, and they're telling me no. No, I was at the fire department, and I was getting the no, you can't this, no, you can't that, and now you got to do this. And there was a lady from City Hall at the fire department, and she had her back to me, and she hears me, and she turns around, sees at me, and then she goes, "Hey, go easy on that guy. He's had a hard time." It's like, because I'd already been through. She knew of my whole battles at City Hall trying to get through planning, because I had to change the occupancy from H2 to H4, which is just regular warehouse, to something that we can do work. And so I got the building, but not quite realizing what I was going to have to go through to make it legal for straight up, what we do.
So you bought the building though, because
no, it's a lease.
Okay,
it's a lease.
So you spent a fortune on a leased building, essentially. That's what it sounds like.
Not
right?
Not all spending it on the building. We had to invest in it.
Okay.
But that just what it cost, and basically, because it took about 2 months to do all this, so
okay.
I'm paying rent at 2 places.
Yeah, okay.
I'm going back and forth between the 2 places, trying to transition, rounding up posses to move everything, truck rentals, so I had this much money, and then 6 months later I had a whole lot less money.
Okay,
so not all of it went into the building. I had help, a customer helped me, and now he works at the shop, Matt. At the time, he's a construction guy, and drywall, and so I was able, but I had to pay for a proper architect drawing, and electrician had to do some stuff. We were able to jump through most of the hoops, but it just took time. Was the biggest thing. There's lots of time and frustration. That was my full-time job for 2 months, was just dealing with the move.
Okay.
But it's anything like this can happen anywhere, and either you get a lie and cheat to get through it, and that works for a lot of people, or you just fess up and just take your beating, and just sometimes that's the best way. It's same with probably everything. Forgiveness or permission? What's better, forgiveness or permission?
Does California have the same laws or rules about using the word engineering? Because I know in Texas I actually named my company Evolution Engineering, and within 3 months the state board of engineers, or whatever it is, they sent me a letter saying I have to have a PE, and I did not have a PE myself or on staff, which is a professional engineer, and so I just had to change the name. So
I haven't come across that. Originally we were Road Race Autosport. That was the name that Scott picked, and kind of fit at the time, but I just thought it sounded a little wussy, and I had to change it to something. So I'm standing in line at the City Hall to file my business license thing, and I just engineering sounds better, but kind of meant more that we actually did the more hardcore stuff. But,
okay.
No, I haven't run across that.
Oh, lucky you.
Yeah, more than just auto part sales. Autosport just sounded like a generic place that just sells little fake trinkets and knickknacks.
Right. And around here, you can have motorsports in your name, and some of them are just used car dealerships.
Right. So, yeah, that's it. Once we moved in, we're still doing really good sales, but right around, it was all eclipses, lots of racing. We're full busy. We're making a lot of our own parts by now. Some of our own, like parts for the second generation Eclipse, intercooler pipes, intercooler kits. So I had a good part of the shop, at least 1,000 square feet dedicated to production. And lots of mail order, a lot of, strong, ready dealer, everything. So the internet was just kind of a sweet spot for us. The shop, one of the guys was trying to be a fireman, so like one day a week he couldn't work, and that was okay because the shop wasn't that busy. It was kind of like 1/3 our own parts, 1/3 mail order of other parts, and then like 1/3 shop. But then, when the Evo came out in 2003, right about that same time, that's when Yahoo Shopping, Amazon, just everything, eBay, everything blows up. They have .com bust, and then the .com boom coming after that, and all of a sudden you can buy stuff anywhere, everywhere. So just some guy can just download some entire price sheet of everything and just offer it, and he's drop shipping it. So you have drop ship fulfillment companies popping up, and Evo comes out, and it's just like a vacuum. It just sucked in everybody. So all of a sudden everybody's an Evo shop. You just got all these carpetbaggers jumping in, and for us it's the same car, but it's not the same customer. So all of a sudden the Evo's finally available, so it's this floodgate of people jumping on it, but they're not necessarily Mitsubishi people. So you got the guy that had the Eclipse before, and he'd been there and done that with his first gen, then his second gen, and he skipped the third gen and then got the Evo in 2003, and he's a Mitsubishi guy, and he knows that when the intercooler pipe blows off, you unplug the airflow meter and the car still runs. But then you got all these other people that just really shouldn't have a Mitsubishi. They got the money to buy all the mods and just go through a catalog and add the car to all the parts and have just some guy bolt them all on, but the car is not really that fast. It's not reliable. They're just going through clutches for no reason. It sucked in the Evo sucked in a bunch of people that it shouldn't have, or people that do their whole car, mod the car up, and it still happens today, of course. And then just this is not me, and then sell everything off and sell the car, and somebody else buys the car. And same time that everybody and their mom is now suddenly an Evo shop, an Evo specialist.
Like
me. Yeah, just all these punk kids that don't know nothing. Oh, hey, what's up? So it really changed the landscape for us. So now our mail order you just like take our mail order peak of 30 packages a day, which actually was kind of painful to pack up, and then you just draw a line down to, over like 3-4 years, draw a line down to like 5 packages a day. And then you take our, shop load of 3-4 cars a week and just draw a line upwards to like 30 cars a week over 4 years. So, now it's 2006 and we're just, maintenance, service, building race cars, so slowly you take the manufacturing area and you move it back to just a little bit. It's just some jigs off to the side. And then you take the parts storage area and condense it down. And then you add another lift, and then you add another lift. And then you just start adding more stuff. And now we got, this parking lot used to be able to, park anywhere. And now we're parking on the street. Now we're parking out on Shoemaker, our own cars. And then, we got cars stacked in there sideways. And, so it just take our mailer up. I got my hands here right where you can see them, right? Take the shop labor down here and the mailer up here, and you just like take and swap them. And it's just, in any business, like being able to see the future, so one thing is to be able to see the future, or, think you can see the future. I guess everybody thinks they can see it. But, kind of make a plan, and then the other thing, be able to execute that plan. So if I could have seen this coming, I could have been much more ready for it. And then, but instead you end up like, reacting to things. And it's how you end up being how you react to the changes in the business. And I just wish I could see the changes coming and then be able to have the money, the cash to react to those changes that are going to be coming, because it still takes, money. You can say, hey, I heard they're going to come out with this new car and that's going to be the new future car, but it still takes money. If you want to be the guy, the balls deep guy in some new car, you got to get a car early. You got to, have parts for it. And, about the time that there's some message board popping up for the car and people are getting the cars in their hand, getting past that initial warranty fear and wanting to do some hardcore stuff, you got to have the parts. And that just takes cash. And, do you take that cash and throw it at that, or you take the cash and go buy a laundromat, probably a lot smarter, laundromat or something, Yep. So, what do you do? It just takes cash or time or both. I don't got a lot of cash, I got a lot of time. So, Evo 10 comes out. It's a brand new car. There's nothing similar really other than the transmission, clutch, kind of similar. And then other than that, it's an entirely new car. So I got the time, about when the 10 came out, we got our dyno. And I would just, at night, it's just totally, just by default, I ended up being the Evo 10 tuner at the shop just because, I could just sit there and just get a customer car and just play with it all night, and try to find what works and what doesn't. And, just try different things and, do it safely without having somebody stand there, just waiting for it. Is it done yet? Is it done yet? I just, just drop it off, leave it for a day, and figure it out. So I, probably tuned over 1,000 Evo 10s. But it's just a completely different car.
Yeah.
It should be called a Galant VR4. It's not an Evolution. As anybody that's had an Evo 89 would know that the Evo 10 is not an Evolution. It's a big fat Galant thing.
I hope all my customers listen to this. So, Mike, how did you meet Rosie? And Rosie, what's your background in the whole road race and obviously racing?
I'll go with the met Rosie thing, and I'll let her take it from there. We're racing down in Mexico. Mexico has this. We're in Los Angeles, and San Diego's about an hour and a half south. Tijuana is about 2 hours south, and they have this border series. So Rob Millen was driver, and then also Tony Chavez, another rally driver. And we'd done some rallies down in Mexico. They had one down in around Rosarito area, one in the Ensenada area. So we'd done a couple rallies down that way. And then we heard that they had a street racing border series. And I'm road racing in the streets, not street racing. And so there was a Porsche group that we'd raced with that did this LA street race around the Coliseum. And we did that for 2 years. And then we found out about this little border series. So a bunch of gringos get together, go down there and run this race in Tijuana in 2000 or 99. We went to Tijuana and ran that race in 99. We'd run the rally in 97, 98, a couple rallies down there. And then it was a lot of fun. I mean, you go there and, here in Southern California, we have the tracks. I don't think we had Autoclub Speedway then, but, you got Button Willow. It's in the desert with little scrub grass bushes and 4 trees that they planted in the pits. And you got Willow Springs, which is in the desert. And so, you're only spectators, a couple coyotes, 3 rabbits, a little kangaroo mouse, and, just a couple friends and families would show up at the races, and that's just normal. Even a, good SEC national weekend, there's nobody came to watch the race. There's no spectators.
It's just the people who are racing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We ran the LA street race, and there was a few spectators. It looked kind of busy, but, it's not like they had grandstands full of people. And this is like a street race in downtown LA with NASCAR. So they had one grandstand that's about half full. It's really hard to get people to a race to watch in Southern California. There's just so much going on. So we go down to Tijuana, and man, there's just people everywhere. And it's just, they got grandstands, punchies music, thumpy, Tecate girls. You're signing autographs, kissing babies. It's just madness. It's like if you're in the Long Beach Grand Prix, but it's Tijuana. So instead of at night it's Bakersfield or Rosamond at night it's Tijuana, at night it's Ensenada, at night it's Mexicali, and you can go out and party. It's just it's just madness. And you're driving down the track, and there's just a wrought iron fences with people hanging on it, hanging over it. The guy got his shirt off, doing his shirt in a circle. It's just, they announce your name, and so they'd be like, it's Robert Collini. Yeah, the crowd goes wild. I ended up doing some races later in 2005, 2006. Around then, I ended up doing some races in Tijuana, and they go, Mike Welch, and the crowd goes wild. And it's just like completely different from what you're used to racing in the United States, unless you're, really, it has to be like World Challenge or, IndyCar stuff to get that kind of response, and maybe there's only like, 5,000 people total watching, and like maybe 500 or 1,000 in the grandstands, but there's people lining the streets and sitting on fences, and and it's Mexico too, so there's dogs on the track. There's this wedding party walking across the escape runoff area, but it's they close down just sections of concrete street, and everything's kind of like you're going around a roundabout. They have a couple roundabouts like the Tijuana race, and so it's kind of off camber around the roundabout, so you go like straight line around the roundabout. It's kind of like a chicane thing, and then another roundabout, come back 90, this freeway on-ramp thing, kind of up a hill. In where is it, Tecate, the race, you get air twice. You're going over train tracks. The curbs are about a foot tall. At least in the car, they look like a foot tall. They're probably only 8 inches tall, but way taller curbs. So if you hit the curb, you're just going to go flying. You end up, kind of more 8/10, kind of more like you'd run a rally stage. You're not flat out trying, because there's trees and cliffs. So instead there's dogs, fence poles. So, they'll put a piece of K-rail in front of a telephone pole, but more to protect the telephone pole than the car. So it was just really cool racing down there. So we started running that series. Rod Millen was driving the Eclipse first, and it was a front-wheel drive Eclipse, one of our kind of more famous number 37 race cars. And he'd mopped up everybody, and we're in Group A because the car is fairly stock configuration. So Group A is the fastest class other than open, and they made a rule for us that anything all-wheel drive had to be an open class, just because we're just really making a mess of the class in Group A. And we're like, well, that's wonderful, but our car's front-wheel drive. And they're like, wait, what? So they had this whole rule that they built just for us without really realizing our car was front-wheel drive. Just that's what we got from the race team. And so here's poor Bruce Brown, this little guy, the movie maker Bruce Brown. He's racing a little stock 323 GTX. He gets bumped into open class just because of our Eclipse kicking everything. So the next race, every time we walk away from the car, we come back, go to get some tacos or go, out to the truck or something. We come back and there's people under the car looking for the magic switch. How are we switching it from front-wheel drive to all-wheel drive? On the fly, or are we changing parts? How we do it? But a front-wheel drive car, Eclipse, can be pretty quick compared to other cars, but they just didn't believe it. So ended up we're racing. I think they had the Evo. Yeah, Rob was driving, and I was crew chief. And there was a pretty girl that needed some parts and spoke a little bit of English. Her dad needed some parts. She spoke a little bit of English. I spoke a little bit of Spanish. Growing up in the body shops, I was always the only white guy, and so I knew enough Spanish to flirt and get in trouble. I didn't know enough Spanish to get out of trouble, but I could get myself into trouble. And she knew enough English, and it kind of went from there. And I'll pass you to Rossy Welch.
So, Rosie, how did you get involved in racing, and then what brought you to that race to meet Mike?
Well, I actually have a pretty much different background from Mike. I actually grew up in racing. I born in racing. My dad owns a race shop down in Mexico, Sinaloa, Guasave, Sinaloa. That's the name of the little town. So I grew up in a different type of racing than I'm doing right now. I grew up in drag racing. So totally different atmosphere. Big V8s, muscle cars, and since I remember, I spent all the time with my dad in the shop. We actually run a lot of different local races, and we actually ran like, I would say, like, out of the little town, but we actually won a couple championships in Mexico. So I just remember travel with my dad from city to city with his Camaro 68 and having tons of fun. So
And so you were at the race that Mike was at, and you guys started dating, and then obviously got married, and so.
well, I'm sorry. That's like, I grew up like since little girl in that racing community, right?
Uh-huh.
And then I moved to Tijuana to study for college.
Okay.
And I do have a business administration background. Back then,
Okay.
my daddy was visiting from my hometown. And then we were just bored on a Sunday, and he's just like said, I heard it's this racing going on this weekend, and we should go check it out. And it's actually down the street. And I was like, racing? Like, what kind of racing? And he said, oh, it's like a road course. That's, well, I don't know how to say it in back then. And then we actually went and checked it out. And when I actually got in the van, it was totally different than what I actually used to, because of course I grew up with the big bumper motors and the race fuel and all that. So for me to see all these little cars, like, I was like, that's kind of lame, but I'm just gonna stay here. But just because I just want to spend some time with my dad, I used to see my dad once a year because I was there for college. So he will come to visit me like just once a year and spend some time with me. So for me, anything to get more quality time with my dad, and especially if he's involved with race cars and where I grow up, that's just gonna go have some fun. So then we actually stayed for the race, and I actually particularly got fine in love with the blue Evo. It was so beautiful. This blue, I don't know exact color, but the road race shop Evo, it actually caught my attention because so sexy, and all the graphics and the sound and the turbo. That's the first time I actually found in love with that car. And so then Rob Talini won the first place on the race. And then I told my dad after the race was over, Dad, let's go check the cars and just walk through the pit, because it's very different in Mexico. The racing, as you know me personally, we're very passionate, and everything we do in life, and we just enjoy it. I don't know that not people that it, but very different. We don't have all these amazing opportunities to go and spectate races. So open pits was open to the public, so we just walked through the pits, and then I was looking to the car, and then my dad actually, of course, mechanic, he started like going like, oh my gosh, I love this, da, 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 da. And he just started pointing stuff and ideas. I want to get this. Not remember the exact part. Well, I remember what. He said he actually want to order some cams and da-da-da. And then he's like, can you actually ask this company, because I have some parts and I want to order and see if they can actually help us. And then I had a little bit of English. I'm still working on my English. And so I asked one of the guys if anyone could help me, like maybe like cruise ship, or anyone can give us more information about the car. And then they sent Mike Welch. So that's when I met Mike, and he actually gave us a little bit of tour in the car, what they're doing. First word he said was "Hola bonita." I was like, oh my gosh, what's up with this creepy guy? Kidding. So
yeah, but I said, well, yes, I can bring the parts down. I'll deliver them to Tijuana next week, no problem.
So then my dad actually asked, because it's a road race engineering, so my dad said, you guys have a shop? And he said, yes, we do, and we actually sell parts and da-da-da. So then my dad actually didn't know if, but he just asked the question because he was looking for Crower cams back then. And so he said, can you get me some parts? I actually need some Crower parts. And then Mike said, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I didn't even have an account with Crower. I had to go make an account with Crower. I think I paid retail, give her a discount, and brought the parts back. But
so anyway, so he actually share information. and we just went for that. And back then I had Messenger, like probably the first email I have, Hotmail. And then, yeah, so we went back and forth and what past my dad need and da 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 da. And then when we were ready actually to order, I said, well, here is the payment information, how we're gonna process or shipping. And he said, no, I'm actually gonna bring the parts to you. I was like, really? So he asked for my home address, and I said, no, how about if we meet in this restaurant and we just can have some coffee and I get my parts and then we're good to go. And then here we are. So
So you guys got married, and now you are, I mean, you obviously moved to the States here, and I mean, you're essentially answering the phone and running the shop from the front end, right? That's what you do now?
I do, yes, I do that now. I actually, well, we married in 2000. I met Mike 2003, and we married 2006. And I moved to the USA in 2008. You know,
Okay.
I took a little bit the process for the paperwork after you married because I came here legally. So no worry, people. Rory's mom is here for a while, kidding. So I moved here 2008, and pretty I I had a little bit in English, like basic, you know. So, but I said I have the background in business administration. That's what I studied for.
Yeah.
And and so and the passion for motorsports from my daddy. Like, so I know cars. I grew up in motorsports, wrenching, changing brakes, racing, off-roading, and all that. So I might didn't speak English, but I speak cars. I always say that, and I'm still in that. So 2008, I moved here, and so my sister-in-law was working for the office. She was running the office, and another lady, really sweet lady, Linda Garcia. So they both worked running the office, mail order, QuickBooks, and all that stuff. And business got a little bit slow back then, 2000, probably 2009. Yeah, it got a little slow. We were struggle a little bit, and we actually cut the hours for Linda. And she's older lady, so she was happy just to work less, you know. It didn't hurt for her. She's one of the moms for one of my mechanics, so she was pretty much just working there just to be close to his son. But obviously, everyone, it doesn't hurt to have a little bit of money. So
Right.
we got the hours, and then obviously my sister-in-law needs a little bit more help. That was 2009. And I didn't speak English, but I did have the background on accounting. And back in Mexico, I used Compact. That was the software I used when I was working in Tijuana. I don't know if you ever met, but it's pretty close to QuickBooks, you know, the same concept, just different software. And so my sister-in-law was obviously I always very involved and I want to help people. And of course, I love the business, you know, especially the auto industry. So I asked her, so how can I help you? And, well, we're doing this. And especially I went over with her, what kind of software you're using. So once I find out it was QuickBooks, I actually searched for like the city actually has like some auto like program, you know, that you can go and
Yeah.
So I did that, and so I went and signed in, like because I knew my company would need me. So that's when I'm a big girl, and I knew back then. Of course, I'm gonna go to English school, and I actually signed in for QuickBooks. So I went and did the English and then QuickBooks after 6 months. I actually graduated. Well, not graduate, how you say. I got
So
my.
you have you have formal training in QuickBooks then, which is very rare for people in a shop, I would think.
Yes. Well, I'm not like if I'm gonna do something, I'll do it right. That's how I do it. So, and if I obviously I love my husband, I love my family, and I want to help him. So that's the first step I did. So I went, learned the software, and the lady wasn't feeling well. Then she left. then my sister-in-law stayed there. So we both were actually on charge of the office. And right now, well, that was 2009. Sorry about that. 2009, and then he stayed quiet for a bit, and he moved to a different city. And that's when she told me, like 3 years later, Rosie, I gotta move because I miss him Ventura so much as the city she actually grew up, and I wanna go back. And I think you're ready. That was 3 years later, and she pretty much left the office, and I'm like, okay, so I'm here. So I took it. I remember that day. It was kind of a little bit hard because I did the QuickBooks and all the numbers and all the administration, because I always say numbers are numbers. Here, China, Japanese, doesn't matter. Numbers are numbers. But for me, English, I never actually picked up the phone before. So when she left, it's like, I gotta go. Da 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 da. She left. That minute, but it's not that she left me, but she knew I was ready. She trained me. She walked me through the office. We did have a system, like everything organized in the office. So she made it really easy for me when she stepped out, and it didn't feel like she was done, Okay. But the only thing I was missing was, of course, the customer service on the phone. But the first day I walked in the office, and the phone rings, and that was the first time I knew I got this. That was the first day I was by myself in the office and say, I got this. I want road race to be better, and I think I can do it. I probably didn't do the best, but I say, road race, this is Rosie. How can I help you? And since then, I'm actually picking up the phone and working hard every day and making the place best. And you never give up,
And being in Southern California, I'm sure a lot of your customers do speak Spanish, right?
They do, and it's actually awesome. Yes, it is. So that's me.
Yeah, it's definitely an advantage to be able to speak Spanish fluently, because I can't speak a tiny even little bit of it, and I have customers that call me and I have to have translators for them.
Oh, sí.
Y yo también puedo hablar español con mis clientes, puedo ayudarlos con los partes y todo. That's my Spanish, my bad Spanish.
Me llamo Kevin. I think that's all I know.
Yeah, ¿dónde está el baño? No. Yeah, I got past that far. Being married to a Mexican, you learn Spanish pretty quick. So.
Okay, so you guys are husband-wife team, and obviously Southern California is a very populous place, so you have a lot of potential customers in that area. So the location you're in has definitely helped, right? I mean, if you were in the middle of like Nevada, it might not have been as successful as it was, right?
It's right. Totally that. Yeah, it totally does. We really location, it means a lot, especially Santa Fe Springs. We actually an hour from San Diego. We do have customers like from San Diego, LA, of course, Ventura. So we pretty much center. So we like 30 minutes from everyone. 40 minutes. We do get some customers coming all the way from NorCal, like Sacramento and San Jose. And you know me, I'm a super friendly person. I'm kidding. So whenever I see a customer, actually, especially when we get customers, like, especially they call me Rosie, I'm here and I have a Evo and I'm having issues and I'm here all the way in Sacramento. Of course, I'm going to recommend like close friends of mine, like GST Motorsports, Mike Warfield. You don't need to drive all the way here. You don't need to tow your car. We do have like this shop. But yes, for most of all our location, I think it's very awesome we can actually get almost a lot of the customers around the area. Lake Elsinore also. And you pay what you get, like people like as Mike told you, we rent a place, but our rent is a little bit high, than many other places. That's one of the other problems we have with the overhead, Location, yes, you pay more rent. Obviously, you have more overhead, but you get little bit more customer and different personalities for different cities. So that's what we see.
Okay.
And because we draw customers from such a wide area, being a specialist in one car, if we were just like general mom and pop mechanic, or even just working on all performance cars, we'd be more focused on our little geographic area. But being specialist, primarily, 80% of what we do is Mitsubishi, a little bit Subaru, a little bit FRS, a little bit GTR, some other random cars that, people just bring in or because they're local, or because they also have an Evo, they want us to work on their other car. But because of that, we draw from a very large area. As everybody knows, traffic in LA just absolutely sucks. You can't get anywhere between 7 and like 9 o'clock in the morning. It's freeways locked up, and the same thing from say about 3 o'clock till 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. Not that traffic's ever good, but there's just times you just literally can't get there from here. And so we've shifted our hours from between the employees and the customers. I mean, I learned this a long time ago that you can get a guy needs to do a clutch. Oh, I got to take a day off. Like, problem is, or the solution is, we're there at the shop late at night, so a guy can get off work, be pretty far away, even like having to go against traffic to get to us, and go home, eat dinner, you have a little bit of break, and then leave his house at 7 or 8 o'clock, come to the shop. We've got somebody there till at least 10 o'clock every night for people to drop off a car, pick up a car. So the guy's going to do a clutch. He can drop it off at 9 o'clock Thursday night, get a ride from somebody that's not going to be suffering in traffic, and then come back Friday night, pick the car up again after traffic. And then because we're there late at night, we're not necessarily earning morning shop. It confuses the hell out of the new UPS guy, or somebody just trying to show up at 8 or 9 in the morning. They don't
there.
get it, but they might be close. But if we're there till midnight, we're not going to be there at first thing in the morning. So the mechanics work from 10, 11 till 6, 7. It's kind of a staggered setup. And then Robert's parts guy, he's in later. He's running around errands on his way in, picking up parts. I'll show up around 10, but I'm there till 9 or 10 at night. Take a break, go pick up the kid from school. I can run some errands in the middle of the day, but somebody's there from 10 to 10 at the shop. And just because it's off-peak traffic hours, that allows us to pull our customers from around the region. From a guy can run from San Diego up the shop. It's a 3-hour trip, but at least he can get a ride when there's no traffic. So it's a 3-hour round trip from deep San Diego to the shop, pick up a car, and back. So it makes it possible, where otherwise it'd just be you couldn't get to San Diego. It'd take you 4 hours at a peak traffic time, because you'd hit traffic in LA and traffic in San Diego both.
Are you guys 5 or 6 days a week, or 7, or what
5
days?
days.
5 days a week.
Not we don't work. Rosie and I work 7 days. We're at the track. Saturday, Sunday. This weekend. We've been at the track 3 weekends in January. We don't have winter. That winter thing other people have, we don't have that here.
Right.
And we had some rain. And then the one weekend we didn't go to the track, we took off to the desert and just ran around our Jeep, and the kid with dirt bikes and stuff like that. So we've been, loaded up in the box van, traveling, or, we went up to Laguna Seca, been to Laguna Seca, Auto Club Speedway, the desert, and just now to Chuckwalla out in the desert.
Yes.
Every weekend. So not that we don't work 7 days a week, but the shop is open Monday through Friday.
And so you're supporting customers at these track days, right? You're not doing your own thing?
It was customers, Dr. Alex and the Evo 6, that beautiful Evo 6 we get to work on. That was this weekend. And then, but the last 2 weekends, or the first 2 weekends I worked, I was the gas man at a Lucky Dog race. Lucky Dog racing is kind of like the Lemons, but without all the clown cars.
Okay.
And without all the crashing, without all the dangerously overfilled track. Lucky Dog racing is endurance racing, but with kind of cheaper, like old IT cars, old showroom stock cars. They don't have all the clown. There's no pizza delivery,
right?
things on the roof.
Yeah,
and
they have something like that called World Racing League, I think is what it is. And then there's another one, Chump Car is the other one like that, right?
Yeah. Chump Cars gets a little clowny. This is not too much, so it's more serious. But I was crewing for John Mueller at Muellerized. He had a guy running a RX-7, or there was a couple of them running an RX-7, older first gen RX-7, and so I got my experience being the gas man in pro racing, so I got called on to come show up there. But we got an all expense paid vacation to beautiful Monterey and Laguna Seca. So we jumped on it, and it's just something to learn. The strategy of endurance racing is very different from, little sprint races, 30-minute races. So it's just good to see other, I've jumped on I got to race with Vesco.
It was
World Challenge. So, if something comes up to either go to Formula D, Mike Gaston needed a crew guy. I jumped in, go to Texas with him. I went to Coda with Vesco when Carl Reichquist, rented one of his cars. So I get to, it's always good to get the experience of other, just everybody runs their team different, and, some are, flat out nutty Nazis, and some are just real laid back, and everything in between. And it's up to you to, kind of pull the best and just keep adding to your experience. There's always something more you can learn. You think you got it all, but there's always something new to learn, more to learn, and then just, working in the different, racing organizations and the different rules and different personalities really helps long-term strategy stuff.
Now, do you charge for your track support?
For our customer, it depends on the customer and how much. But yeah, it's not a profit center, but I try to not make it a loss center.
Okay. So
at least kind of cover. If I can cover my costs, at least depending on the customer and what we're getting back out of it. For promotion, and we need hashtags. Doesn't pay the bills. Likes doesn't pay bills. Some people like, oh, but look at all my followers, all my stuff I can do for you. But I try to ask, how are you going to help me make money? And
but so you're getting paid on the maintenance. So we do keep the car at the shop. So
okay.
we keep the car, the maintenance, track support. So that's a different invoice. Then we actually go to the racetrack. So then you wanna be like, it's like not testing, but you like pretty much you wanna be sure the car is performing. So you actually testing your own work. So it's just balance it out. We are already making the money at the shop, so we don't. We just don't want to like overcharge, for going, oh, we're gonna appear and track support and we're gonna charge you because it's Saturday to Sunday. It's like, like more extra, and it's something that we do love, especially for me. Like the racetrack for me is like Disneyland. That's my happy place. So, so for me, being at the racetrack is like vacation. It's relaxing. I love it. So. And you still get paid, but it's part of the whole package by having the car, maintenance, and go here. It's part of relationship, most of all with the customer.
Okay. And what's the worst experience you guys have had in business?
Well, for me, going back 20 years, it could be from, I say worse, but, the losing the lease and then having to go to the new shop. That was rough at the time, but it worked out for the best, to going through the partnership breakup, rough at the time, but worked out for the best in the end. The recession, the Great Recession of 2008, 2009 hit really hard and really piled on the credit card debt that we're still digging out of. So there's, big milestones over the time, but, you still, other stuff comes up, some asshole threatens to sue you because, he's got his 100,000-mile car that you tuned and it's, burns a valve, like his cylinders are full of carbon, the valve is full of carbon. And he's like, well, you get the big lawyer letter. It says you represented yourself as the experts at Mitsubishi, and here's all these quotes. So, you should have checked his valve job and checked his pistons and checked everything before he tuned his car. It's like, no. So some guys, and then he wants $25,000 for his, $20,000 Evo 9 that's got 100,000 miles on it, and he's going to take it to court for all this stuff. This guy went away, but in the end, you got to get a lawyer, you got to spend time, there's just nothing, it's just stuff you don't have control over, but, people have their own version of the world. So you get like little fires like that come up that you shouldn't have to deal with. Some guy we had his calipers rebuilt for him at Centric, Centric Stop Tech, the same company. So he gets his calipers rebuilt and he doesn't like the finish on them. And like they got a little bit of orange peel on them. And I'd had some pictures that we got some calipers rebuilt by them. They look great. And I took some pictures, put them on the website. People send the calipers, get rebuilt. Great. Everything's fine. We did like 3 sets. I'm making like $100 on this whole deal. And this guy he doesn't like the orange peel on them. And so he takes me to a small claims court to get all his money back. He wants $600 back. I made $100 on the deal. He's going to take me to a small claims court. I'm like, wait, what? And then, so I go to stop the Centric people. And it's like, this guy, and they're like, he's an idiot. Like, I know, but this is what he's dragging me into the court. So they give me a Porsche caliper, a factory Evo caliper, one of theirs, and all these calipers have orange peel on them. And, there it is. He's like, yeah, but it's not like with a picture. Well, it's just a picture on the internet that I just took on some calipers. And if you turn it just right, and it's just this grumpy old guy from Arizona. So he drives all the way from Arizona to take him to a small claims court, files it, everything. We go to court, and the judge is like, yeah, I guess. But, what's the important of all this? Saying that I have to pay like $200. He prorates something, does some little formula. I got to pay $200, which is, double what I made on it, just because this guy didn't like his orange peel on the calipers, which was actually smoother than a factory caliper. So there's little things like that you deal with over time that, that's the worst thing that week or that month. And then there's, big things, and now with, some of the regulations we have to deal with, they pass a new law, they pass a new enforcement, something, and, or more, the oil waste, now we got to punch holes in all the oil filters, and they said we can't take this barrel of oil filters because you have to punch a hole in them. So we got to have this whole giant 55-gallon barrel of oil filters, punch holes in them, drain them, and then put them back in the barrel. That took a week of our time of just spare everybody taking turns.
Is that for real law? That's hilarious.
Special hammer. We made this special like hammer thing with a point, like a little pick hammer, and we're out there taking turns punching holes in the oil filters. So like, what's the worst thing? Yeah, it's the worst thing that week, that year, that month, that lifetime. It's just you'd like to have this little 5-year plan of this is where the business is going to do, but you end up every day there's some stupid fire you got to put out, and that's part of running a business. Or shouldn't have to be a part of it, but it ends up being part of it.
So for me on the worst, like you always say, like we would say, like what's the worst? I always say in that, like always, like something bad happened for a reason. And if it wasn't because the worst experience he had actually for like his partner leaving the company, then we are here, and that's what road race right now. Road race engineering happened thanks to that. So I always try to see the bright side. So the worst always brings something good. So even if something really bad happened, you never like can give up, always learning.
Yeah, you can learn from everything.
You take it as experience. And like you say, that Sula for me was, a little bit scary for me because I'm the one who actually does all the paperwork. So when he say this customer is actually making this SU, so you always want to be sure as a shop, you have the right paperwork, and the customer doesn't leave the place without signing, the invoices. And so once you have everything under control and a good, organized office, then that will help you, because then you're not scared. Yeah, he can do whatever he wants. But if you're right, you have your paperwork organized, that will give you less stress. Yes, it's not fun, but then I will say if paperwork is under control, will help solve that kind of bad experience, especially with the Sula, because we got the lawyer coming to the office and say, we pull all the paperwork, and then you have customer by customer and file, and then you have all the record, what happened. First thing, be sure always in the software at the shop, you have the right miles, because yes, when we did the work on the car, car already was hurt. A car with 90,000 miles, that's probably a little older car than normal. So if your car is older and it came to the shop for a gloss, you're not gonna blame it on a motor job. So you always need to keep records of everything you do in your shop, and paperwork, sign, and proper forms. And then I think that will help with the process. So,
Okay.
but I still at the end, we always learn from that kind of experience, personalities, and so it's
What do you
it's
guys
just got.
what are you guys doing right now that has you fired up?
Not sponsoring people.
No, that's not fire up.
That has me hoping for the future. There's so many
There's
people.
something to have us fire up right now. Like, what is have us fire up? We're actually waiting for this beautiful, beautiful Porsche GT3. It actually is coming from Germany.
GT3R. It's a Manthe.
Yeah, GT3R. That's super cool.
A factory GT3R. Dr. Alex with the Evo 6 that we work on, he just picked up a GT3R out of Germany that was run by Manthe. It's been a endurance car in Germany and driven, Romain Dumas, just like all these really famous drivers have driven this car. He picks it up in, I think about a month from now. We're going to track March 1st for the first time with the car. And just, that's going to be a fun, as a project car, we're going to start off just lots of learning on the car, just being the fly on the wall. Not like we're going to build his motor or anything. That's a pretty serious race car. But that's going to be the goal is running the car at the California Festival Speed. It's a big Porsche party, the first week in April.
Yeah.
That's it.
I'm super excited. I'm super excited for that vehicle, for the race car to actually be here in the USA. And Dr. Alex Marmurano, he's actually one of my top customers. I mean, on the overall, track support and race car. So now he's actually will maintenance the Evo 6, the beautiful white body kit from Body Japan. We actually brought it for SEMA 2013, and it's the car he's actually tracking, really red in the USA. So having the Evo 6 and this beautiful, beautiful machine with us in my shop, so that's what is having me fire up. How? I want to have the shop super clean, super awesome, and organized, redo a bunch of stuff. We're getting a new race trailer. So yeah, I'm super excited. I think this year it's going to be awesome to actually providing track support for him, learning this new beautiful machine. And it's pretty amazing for me to coming from a background from drag racing, and now I'm here doing what I dream, so I'm really excited.
Super cool. So let's take a second here to pause and thank our sponsors. We all know owning a shop is difficult, so we created My Shop Assist to help you manage the various jobs. Whether you run a machine shop, a performance tuning shop, build off-road trucks, or even do powder coating, My Shop Assist can help you. It is completely online and will help you schedule the jobs, log time on each task, track parts orders, and take pictures of the work. You can even export your jobs from My Shop Assist into QuickBooks as invoices. So if you're interested to improve operations at your shop, check out myshopassist.com to start your 30-day free trial. So moving on, Mike and Rosie, let's talk a little about road race engineering. So how big is the space you're in right now? I mean, you said it was like 3,000 to 4,000 square feet. Is that right?
The shop itself is 3,000 square feet, but the building is 6,500 square feet.
Okay.
So we still got, office, and then the dyno room is not part of the H4 rating. So the dyno, in the beginning, like, oh my God, we got to build this wall, such a pain, but it ended up separating the shop from like the inventory. So part of the warehouse is divided. So we got probably about 1,800 square feet of office, and then another, say, 1,800 square feet of, I have no idea if this adds up to 6,500, but it's partly the dyno room and then the outside warehouse.
Okay.
So it's kind of mixed. So that keeps the noise from the dyno from bugging the shop guys too much. I mean, when the dyno's going with a really loud car, everybody in the whole block hears it, obviously. Yeah. But, having that wall separating the dyno from the shop kind of helps the shop guys not have to, be suffering from that all day and the fumes and everything. So that worked out pretty good.
And you guys have been there for, I mean, more than 10 years, it sounds like, right?
Yeah, since 2000.
Okay.
Yeah, been in business for 22 years or so.
And your landlord hasn't given you the building yet?
No, I think he wants it for his son. I think his son wants. He just raised our rent. When we started the lease, it was $4,000 a month, and we have our own. It's on a cul-de-sac with 6 businesses, and so we have our own yard that can park about. So we got a parking lot that holds 6 cars, and then there's a yard, like a gated yard, that also holds like another 8 or 10 cars.
Okay.
So it's, even though it's, the rent started out 4,000, went up to 45, and then just now we got raised to 5,000. Now the economy is doing pretty good. But I shopped around, it's still a decent price. And then anywhere else I looked would be too close to houses, too close, the dyno.
Noise.
If you put a dyno in this building, it'd be right in somebody else's, front door, or in a complex too close. So we've got a little bit of eminent domain going on with our dyno noise.
Okay.
We've been there longer on the little cul-de-sac than anybody else, and so when they moved in, there was a bunch of noise from these weird guys, and that's us. So trying to imagine and then what it would cost to move and be legal, and then where to move to and what's available, and it's still just cheaper to stay there.
Got it.
Even though it's more than I'd like to. It's about $1,500 more than I'd like to spend, but what else are you going to do?
Yeah, you'll have to move to Texas.
Yeah, well, it's cheaper, but then we're in the center of the automotive universe in
Right.
Southern California, so
Yep.
y'all can you have to work on more other stuff where we can focus very precisely on Evos. People, they go to other Evo shops supposedly, and they come to us, and then they're just like, wow, there's a lot of Evos here. It's like, yep. It's very obviously what we do, but there's always there's one other something here. Like right now we got some drag pinot. There's one FRS motor getting built. There's a Subaru, an Easy Street Subaru at the shop. There's a little bit other cars going on too, and then they got some old DSMs, and there's a couple 1Gs, couple 2Gs. They're always there. There's always something coming through. So,
have you guys ever written a formal business plan?
No.
Okay.
It's like we've had. I'm sure my partner Scott did at the beginning. He had something really nice looking, written by a super marketing guy. But
sounds like for the most part, then you've just kind of evolved your business as the demand has, required, right? So you kind of ramped down the mail order sales and ramped up the shop. You kind of evolved as needed.
It did that. Yeah, it did that, and we reacted to it. I would like to be more proactive, but you end up being reactionary.
How many employees do you have?
8.
And do you guys find it difficult to manage them all?
Yeah, everybody does. Yeah, I don't know, having that many personalities work together, it's always a challenge. But then again, we got one new kid that was an intern last year, and he started full time this summer after he graduated. But other than that, everybody's been there since the beginning of forever. Honda Robert in the office, he's been there since 2000 when we moved. He helped move and got suckered into staying. Robert Garcia, he was with me before Road Race started, working out and stuff out of my garage. And Chris, was one of his friends, been with us since at least around 2000 or so. Matt, he's conscript. He came to help build the wall, so to speak, and then he's working on. He came and went a few times, but now he's does a lot of maintenance on the Evo 6 and special projects, fabricating kind of thing. Sam and Gus, they were friends and just DSM guys that were always there, just buying parts and working on their own car in the parking lot kind of guys. And like, what do you do all day? Like Sam's like, I work at Home Depot. This is like 8 years ago. It's like, why don't you just work here? How much you make there? Okay, I'll pay that and then some. And then now he's tuner, fabricator, everything, going from that. So Sam and Gus replaced Ty and Jack. Ty and Jack were with us. Jack was my first employee in '96, and then Ty was one of his friends. And so they were like the office and kind of tuning a little bit of everything, from say 96, 99 through all the way up to like 2006, 2008, in that range. And then Gus and Sam kind of took over those. They both went on to be LAPD officers. One of my guys from the 90s and 2000s, Tony Vu, went from my shop to be a fireman, and then two of them went to be LAPD. So I got one ex-employee as fireman, and two that are LAPD, Los Angeles Police Department. So
you got backup if you need it, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to get pulled over by Ty in LA though. He knows everything about your car, and he'll make you think you don't. And like, oh, what do you got under the hood? They're like, nothing. It's all stock. And then he'll just rattle off everything you got and then some. But yeah, so everybody other than the new guy's been there for 10 years. Okay. So yeah, they're difficult to manage, but we all get along.
Okay. You kind of echoed what Lucas English said too, where you get a lot of different personalities. It's hard to keep them all, happy, but
yeah. And they have their little shop wars, and everybody knows how to push everybody's button, and they have fun doing it, and back and forth. So some, once in a while the chatter will get a little bit too much, but then it's usually pretty funny and interesting too. But for the main thing is they're good guys and they know what they're doing. So that's their specialist.
Okay. And
it's not like I can go anywhere and just get an Evo specialist. There's 3 other alleged Evo shops in the LA area, but they're all pretty well spread out.
Okay. How many hours a week are you guys working?
Well, somebody's there from 10 to 10. But it's kind of staggered.
Is that you? Are you there from 10 to 10?
Yeah, I come and go a little bit, go pick up a kid from school or run some errands, but okay. Usually it falls on me to, it's my shop. So, things run better if I'm there, but I can be late, or I can, take off for a day to go to the track, take off for a week to go to Pikes Peak, that kind of thing.
Okay.
But I try to be there as much as possible, but, the shop is open, a good 12 hours a day, accessible, or, depending on what you need to do and what you need done. People are like, what are your hours? We're like, well, what do you want done?
And Rosie, I'm guessing you have a similar schedule, like here and there, but usually 12 hours a day?
Yeah, I try to keep a balance, like I wake up every day at 6:30 in the morning, take the kid to school, then right after I go to the gym, and then come back 10:30, and then get ready. And I usually go to the shop 11:30. That's when my pickup rides, like 2 o'clock. So then I go a little bit late, but it's really awesome to actually own a business, and then you have the flexibility, to do little bit of balance, like the family, the gym, and so we're trying to do our best.
Okay. And how old is your guys' kid?
Bryce is 8.
Okay.
And he's got a 80cc cadet cart and a PW80 motorcycle. He's Bryce Michael Welch on Instagram. He's going to be something someday, but right now he just has a whole lot of fun being the kid at a race shop. That's his job, is be the kid at a race shop.
Okay. And do you guys do you spend most of your time doing the work, Mike, or are you involved in kind of managing the business?
The guys, the shop guys, like to make fun of me that I'm just the guy in the big chair, and I don't really do the work. But then when they can't get the bolt out, they can't make the thing start, they can't figure out why it's doing the thing, then I'm the one they come to, and usually I can figure it out, and I say that's why I get the big chair, is because I do it. So on special projects I'll do it. Crash cars I'll still work on them. We actually do some insurance repairs on. We do probably 5 or 6, big insurance jobs. We just finished a car, an Evo 10 that got hit. We had 3 in the month of December. We had 3 Evo 10s that crashed right front, and we did them from the paint to everything. And like one of them was like a $12,000 job, and one was like $8,000. One was like smaller, like $3,000. And for some reason, somebody always crashes their car in December, right when it's slow. And this year we had 3 cars in December that kind of filled in that little slow spot when everybody's not thinking about big mods. And whatnot. So we do, like I said, people ask, what do you do? We do everything for an Evo and some stuff for other cars too.
Okay.
But for an Evo, we'll do everything from a big wreck to an engine build to full track support to clutches, timing belt, maintenance, brake pads. It's like, hey, I got an Evo. What do you do? Well, we do everything for your car. There's nothing we don't do for an Evo. But that also carries over to some Subarus, some GTR, some other stuff.
Okay. And Rosie, what about yourself? Do you find yourself just working, or are you like managing the business, like trying to make the business grow?
I do a little bit of everything, like managing and always trying to look for ideas. I'm the idea person. I always Mike said, like, I'm always looking for new ideas and talk to my employees, always trying to motivate them because I treat them as kids. That's why they call me Road Race Mom. So I'm always trying to balance that and trying to keep them motivated and always looking for new strategies to keep the business growing. Because I always say, if the employees are happy, they will make your business grow and you'll show, So that's my main focus, to be sure they're always happy, and any ideas I have, so we all work together and make the goals happen.
And do you guys think the pay justifies the time spent?
No, if you would never be in this for the money. I run my race shop for the money that nobody ever anywhere, except maybe like the guy that runs GMG or like some big Porsche shop. But this is I could make more money again, running a laundromat or working as a line mechanic at a BMW dealer. Being a body man, I never made so much money as when I did body work. But I went from body work to working in a race shop, went back to body work, and went back to racing. It didn't.
It's not fun doing body work.
It's just not fun. If you can make it, you can eke out a living and enjoy life doing what your passion is, do your passion. But if, obviously if you're suffering, the starving artist, maybe not, but we're not starving artists. We're not getting rich either. I got an old 99 Dodge truck that needs a water pump right now. It's just parked. So I'm driving the Jeep, which is not the best daily driver, some old 88 Jeep. My cars that are, this is me, this is my car. I got an old 89 Mirage hatchback, call it Widowmaker, that's just, 400 horsepower front wheel drive, Eclipse drivetrain stuffed in a little Mirage turbo hatchback that needs a bunch of work that I never work on, never get to drive like I'd like to. I've got an old 64 Volkswagen double cab truck that's kind of, this is me also, but it's 180 horsepower, 2.5 liter Weber 48s. But otherwise very stock. Both cars are very stock appearing, but have like double the horsepower you'd imagine. So I guess I'm into sleepers in some way, but I end up driving the cars I drive are something that can haul a bunch of, kids' dirt bikes, kid go-kart, kid bike, skateboards, that kind of stuff is what I end up driving.
A little bit of everything.
I think,
right.
on my perspective, I think that time is justified, I think we're actually working on something we both love, and it's actually a wonderful blessing. We might don't have like a lot of stuff, like probably like the fancy car in my driveway right now, but I see it this way, I prefer to invest that money in the company on product so the company can actually grow than having a car payment for the minute, right now. So we just focus on the important things. And the important things is to invest in the business and the family. So I think we know we can complain about it, it's I'm happy what we get, and we have our kids in college, we have a beautiful home, and we're healthy, so I think so it's worth it.
Okay. And what are the primary tools of your trade, and like what are you guys using to manage the business?
I end up playing a mechanic on the internet, so I'm using my laptop. So answering questions, answering emails, the dyno, we've got a Dynapack all-wheel drive dyno, the chassis dyno, and so I do some tuning, and between race support, myself, I go the track probably a good 20 weekends a year at the track. So my tool is my box van, my trailer, whatever I got loaded in it, laptop, answering emails. Stuff. For Rosie, you can answer what's your tools?
My tools are QuickBooks and MSA. That's my two number one tools. And there's
what is this MSA? MSA you speak
my shop
of?
assist. Yeah, it's just wonderful. I'm so blessed that we actually got this change because my life is much better. Before we use this other random software, and I used to type every single invoice because we didn't have a way to transfer the invoices to my QuickBooks. That's the one who actually manage all the accounting and balancing and stuff, all the accounts. The shop voice doesn't get it. Why do you need the invoices again? They don't need to know what's going on in my office. I need to be sure what money is coming in, what payments and bills, and you need to balance in accounts, credit cards, this and that. So for me, I was actually entering every single day, every single invoice from the other random Apple software. And thanks to I met my shop assist, then now I actually I don't need to worry about that because now everything just transferred from my shop assist to my QuickBooks. Then now I do have more time to focus on strategic, how to make sales increase, so many things that I can use my energy now, the better, typing every single day those invoices. So thank you, Kevin, for solving my life. It's wonderful. I love it. And then other than that, actually, my shop assist actually helped me to keep track on the hours and report for each employee, to actually track their performance, how they're doing. And actually, they're not working on commissions, but one of my goals right now like what I say, I'm always looking for ideas, how to make the business make more money. One of them, keep the employees happy. So my shop assist actually helped me to see who's performing best. So now one actually of my new strategies for this year is to actually do bonus by performance. So the shop guys, they're like, oh, I got to finish now because then I want to get my bonus, Okay. So then my shop assistant actually can help me to track that kind of stuff, And then the guys actually have the tools. They can actually add like the parts they actually added to the vehicle they're working on. So now I'm not missing, like the car doesn't leave the shop with me, like missing like a little stuff because you actually get a car inside the shop, right, for a clutch and then a 30K main. And so this is the, and then probably the car needs an extra oil or needs an extra gasket. And at the end of the month, then it feels like $3 gasket, a washer or this and that. So it's go adding up and stuff that you wouldn't actually charging to your customers. So I think actually having you guys as part of our software is helping us and keep track on those like little missing, I'll call it like pennies missing in the invoices. So anyway, so thank you, my shop assistant, for helping
and
us.
A funny story about that is it took me 4 years to convince you guys to try it, I think, because when we first came out with it, we came and visited your shop, and that was like 2012, I think.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Well, a big part of it's the California rules, very different, and I imagine state to state, but very different regulatory rules of what's required on an estimate invoice, and the process of when the customer gets what, in California is very pro-consumer. So.
Yeah, I think I remember that you telling me that very specifically, that you had a person want a transmission rebuild and you didn't get a signature from him, and he basically by law was not required to pay for any of it, but you were required to give him the car back. Is that correct?
Yeah. If you don't have the mileage, if it's not a complete repair order, the guy could just come and claim his car, and you just come with the Bureau of Automotive Repair and claim his car, because you don't have legally, you have to have all this. It's got to have the mileage. He's got to get the estimate beforehand. You got to note any additional items. And this one was one the one we were talking about with a front-wheel drive transmission for an Eclipse from Mitsubishi was they only came rebuilt, and all-wheel drive transmissions were only available new. And so, he was trying to drive the car to the shop. The clutch blew up, took out the input shaft, took out the bell housing. So we got him it was like surprise. He came in for a clutch surprise. We paid $1,800 for the transmission from Mitsubishi, and I think we sold it to him for like $2,000. And then later on, it needed a warranty. Something started grinding. Well, it's brand new from Mitsubishi, whatever. So then they ended up not warrantying it, and then he found out that it was rebuilt transmission. And for us, we got it from the dealer. We didn't really pay attention. New, rebuilt, and that's all there is. But because we'd sold the transmission as new, and it turned out it was rebuilt, and then how they warranted or something, they ended up, we had to give him all his money back, like all of it. And I, barely made any money on the stupid deal, and I had to give him all his money back. And there's the guy, and then he didn't write us up for violating all these little rules and laws, but we got this nasty letter and black mark on our record for just the guy that wrote up the invoice at the time just put new transmission because we bought a transmission from Mitsubishi, but it just turned out it was remanufactured. And so little things like that have to be, if it's new, used, or remanufactured, it has to be listed. You have to have the signature or the phone authorization, the time, everything noted. If you don't have all the T's crossed, I's dotted perfectly, the guy can just go, you know what, I want my car, and he doesn't have to pay for it because you don't have a legal repair order.
Interesting. That's the story. I tell a lot of people that story because California is obviously the worst at. I mean, guess for business, I guess it's the hardest one to work with.
Very pro-consumer. Yeah. And it's that, and then we had to have. So we had this stuff. We couldn't use it without
signatures.
Like I think your signature was like after or before or something. There's little things that you finally got it. Once you got it California legal, there's still some stuff you're working on. Robert, well, it's a work in progress. Mm-hmm. For you, for us, and you guys have been really responsive to our weird stuff we need just for California, or things that we need just because of what we do. Our business is kind of similar to the the evolution business that you guys have there, kind of what we do, but we just under different regulatory pressures.
Right. I don't have an EPA or whatever bar number or whatever you need, huh?
Yeah. And so places to put that. Without that on, we have to have the BAR number, Bureau of Automotive Repair, and the EPA number, or waste disposal number, has to be on the invoice also. And then how do you classify it as an invoice, as the repair order, as an estimate? What the customer gets when he signs and picks it up. It's very different rules and regulations, between Texas and here, and I'm sure there's other states have their own things too. So.
Okay, so what are you guys using for doing for marketing?
I do the Instagram, little pictures here and there, and then Rosie does Facebook, but otherwise it's just pure. I don't think we used to get a little advertisement on the back page of the California Rally Series rulebook. That was really the only, other than early 90s. Yeah, we used to pay for SoCal Evo, but all the forums are dead, so I just kind of randomly give them a donation now and then because they still maintain our vendor forum, so to speak. But the forums are all dead. Everything's moved to Facebook. The traffic on all the forums is down to just about nothing from what they used to be. So everything's all social media based. I do Instagram because it doesn't talk back to me so much. Once in a while there'll be a picture of like, hey, look at this broken crank, and somebody's 9 comments down asking, hey, how much is a motor build? Sales at roadracengineering.com for stuff like that. It's kind of hard to hack out a motor quote or pass it around the shop on my thumbs, on my phone, on Instagram. So can you contact the shop, maybe? What's your number? So I a few of those, but for the most part Instagram doesn't talk back to me too much. I can just put a cool picture of something cool or broken or on fire, and there's people just like the picture. So I like Instagram better. Rosie does the Facebook, and she'll end up chatting with people all day. So that's.
I know me and Rosie chat quite often.
Yes, but Mike always say you on Facebook, but actually quite like I would say like I have like 1,500 friends, and half of them are actually customers. So
Yep.
I don't do street related. So I actually do a lot of business, and obviously I manage the Facebook road race page,
Yep.
and I think it's awesome, Like I know Mike doesn't like Facebook much,
I have one friend. For the record, I have one friend.
Is
and
it
it's
Rosie? Okay.
Sometimes. No,
but
I've been
it's
unfriended.
everywhere,
I have been unfriended. For the record.
it, I know, no, like it's just you gotta go with the trend, and that's the new, and that's what the kids do now. Everyone it's sadly, but we all have smartphones, and that's what you do. You're like waiting for your coffee, and then you're checking your Facebook, and a lot of people actually do business on Facebook, and which is probably not the best idea. And I don't judge people when they send me a private message on Facebook. Some people get really upset when like, oh, I don't do business on Facebook. I'm super casual, And if it's business, I'll take it, And it's always positive, and I try to do my best and keep a balance on that. And I do have a little bit of fun, friends, but I don't take it personal when people send me private message about asking something regarding their car. But if it's something like a little more technical, then that's when I say, can I get your phone number or like best contact information other than Facebook? That's when but other than that basic stuff, hey, Rosie, I need this. Do you have any stock? A fuel pump, injector. So, hey, Rosie, actually, I need dyno rental, I'm like, sure. Do you have an opening for dyno rental? Sure. I go, look, oh, I need an oil change. And, I'm not picky. I'm here to just take care of my customers,
And
whatever it makes them happy.
You guys have also had cars in the SEMA show. I mean, I remember even seeing the Evo 6 was in the Zetronics booth, right?
Yeah, we've had
Yes.
our shop Evo and Mitsubishi. We've had 3 different cars in Mitsubishi's booth. Probably 10, 15 different cars over the years at SEMA.
It's convenient that it's close. You're in the center of the car world in LA, and you're close to the venue, I guess, the SEMA venue. So it's easy to get cars in the show, right?
Yeah, physically, it's just you can take a car like from the shop. You just drive up Sunday morning, because the cars are there for a whole week. You can drive up Sunday morning, drop a car off, get in the show, and then drive back, be back in LA the same day. And then later in the week, like myself, I'll go Thursday, Friday usually, and so I can go back. Either you leave the trailer there and fly home, or just drive it back. It's a 4-hour drive from LA, so it's easy for us to have a car there compared to guys that got tow across the country. And they'd have to take a whole week off, basically a week and a couple of days probably to actually travel to SEMA with the car. You have it there and be stuck there the whole week, and then get the car back home safely.
That's us. We have to tow it all the way out there, and we're stuck there the whole week with it.
Yep.
Okay, so what's something you guys struggle with in business, and how do you deal with it?
Biggest struggle is making money out of the work that comes in the door, being the shop part of it. This car shows up for one thing, turns out it needs something else. Guy comes in for a clutch, turns out his transmission broke. He wants to send it to Jack's. We got to babysit the car while the transmission is being shipped to Jack's or something. So you end up, cars come in, but having them sit is not making money, but you end up getting stuck with a lot of car people. Guy comes, I want to stop by to diagnose a little noise. Well, your crank's busted. The guy came in the other day with the snout of the crank broken. They break on the number 4 side, but it was broken at number 1. And so his crank pulley's wobbling all over, and his crank's broke. But he just came in because his car's making this funny noise. Well, your crank's broke. So now the car's there. And, the guy's in the military, and, he's, came up from Pendleton or somewhere, and he doesn't have a lot of money. And, it's not like you're just going to bounce him out the door, tow your car home or whatever. But it's, you end up with, if I've got room to store, say 10 cars while in various stages of getting their machine shop stuff done, waiting for a part, whatever. If I had room to store 50, I'd have 50 cars here, just because we got to be strict about get your car out of here if we're not doing the work on it. So getting the car, the biggest battle is keeping everything moving and scheduling and turning the work that comes in the door to actual payment and, you know, getting the car done. Just the process of it all, you know, it's a delicate balance of, you know, getting the deposit, getting the right amount of deposit to where when the car is done, you're not owed the $10,000, the $5,000, and then like, oh yeah, something happened. Can I pick it up next week? And you're planning on that money for rent, for whatever, to make payroll, and then the guy's just like, you can't get a hold of him, or his mom was going to pay and now his mom not going to pay. Whenever, just all the other shop guys listen, whenever their mom's paying, big red flag. You know, if you know, their mom, especially if the mom calls, like, you know, hey, I'm calling for my son, how much is this? Like, okay, you can't, there's some kind of, somebody's got some issues somewhere there, you know, so just danger. A lot of the ones that just go bad, mom's paying.
Yeah, I've got several cars that are, I think, stuck at my shop, and it's just like, okay, well, how do I get rid of them, or do I seize them? You know, it's always a struggle. I have the same problem, so.
Yeah, so I tell Rosie, just every car, every day, grab Gus, the shop manager, and if just, what is this car doing here? Is there anything any of us can do to get it moving forward? You know, cars, they're just stuck at a speed bump in the process, and just it takes usually two people to get it over the speed bump, you know, metaphorically. You know, like, well, I you know, the parts guy thinks he's waiting for shop guy thinks he's waiting for the parts guy, and, or, you know, customer thinks he's waiting for us, we think we're waiting for the customer, and it's going to take at least two people to, you know, figure out what's going on with the car and put their heads together and move it forward. Why is this car sitting? It's been here for a week. And if you did that with every car every day, you know, just grab the shop manager and somebody else and just go around, why is this car here? You know, what can we do? Is there anything we can do to make this thing move forward? Oh yeah, I just got to order this part. We'll order the stupid part then. Or, you know, we'll call the customer, or, you know, well, then let's just put that thing on, you know, well, I got to do this before I can do that. Well, okay, let's do this today and we'll do that tomorrow and the next day. Well, I didn't have time. Well, okay, how about today? And if you do that every day, you know, I think that would move things forward, you know. So Rosie, like, you know, why are these cars here? Well, every car every day, you know, just
yeah, say like that. I'm that big bastard. Why this car is here? Why is still here?
Yeah.
And why my invoice is still open? But, so no, I'm just saying. I think the biggest struggle is one of that. Of course, you gotta keep the cash flowing, you know, because
right.
You have the vendors, you have the overhead, so you always continuously gotta keep moving, you know, and you can't stop. And especially if you're a small family business, your income is like what keep your shop moving, you know, those cars. When you don't have a big budget sitting in your bank account, so you wanna be sure every single car, you're gonna plan ahead, like what's coming, what's leaving, and it's always communication. And you gotta, sometimes some cars they don't have a plan because they came for something and then something else breaks and they gotta stay longer, and then probably the customer didn't expect that, and then but you gotta work with the people. I do have the other struggles that I love so much, my DSM customers, you know, I love them. I love trying to keep everyone happy, you know.
But none of them have any money.
But my car just broke down and I'm in the middle of the freeway and I need help. And then you see the shop super full. That's my biggest struggle, making everyone happy, which is sometimes very hard to happen, you know. Mm-hmm. But then I put my heart in his, like, oh my gosh, this poor guy, so bring it over and bring it over and bring it over. And then my service manager is like, Rosie, we can't like just bring all the cars just because they called and they broke down. And what I say, especially older cars. But I think me personal, that's my biggest struggle, you know, when like people calling like my car is breaking down. And especially we're working in cars that are like older vehicles, not like old, like we have the Evo 10, you know, but still break down. But you're talking about Evo A9 and DSM, they're obviously older, you know, so they're calling the doctor. I'm feeling bad because with the doctor for those cars. So for me to keep that balance and the cars we do have, keep the cash flow, it's just constantly struggle, but it's fun, you know. You just gotta keep going. You can stop, and here we are. So tomorrow's a new week.
No, we had a guy show up. Just pulls in like 9 o'clock at night, and Sam was on his way out the door. Me and Robert were thinking about pushing in cars, and he's like, car comes in on a trailer, it's a yellow Evo, and yellow Evos serve all special people. But it's yellow Evo on a trailer. They both chief military guys from Pendleton. So the guy's got the broken car, and his buddy trailered it up from Pendleton for him. He had the truck. They got a U-Haul trailer. They're pushing off the trailer. Like, hey, what are you here for? Oh, I got an appointment for tomorrow. Okay, what are we doing? You know, I don't know if it's clutch or what. I didn't see the schedule. And he's like, oh, just every time, you know, I've replaced the crank angle sensor 3 times. I push on the clutch. Sometimes it stalls. The clutch was kind of randomly up and down, and it was making this noise. And so finally, to get it run, the last shop put some washers on the crank angle sensor, and you know where this is going.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we know where it's going, but the guy's just like, hey, I got this thing, my car won't start. You know, in his mind, the car won't start. And, you know, he trailered it all the way up there. And in our mind, we know that this guy, you know, you're going to be like $6,000 for a new motor minimum. If, you know, probably be $8,000 if you want some ups and extras. And gee, how much, your car's all stock and got 120,000 miles on it. You know, how fast do you want it to go? And so he's anywhere from $6,000 to $15,000. And it's just, you know, it's some guys from Pendleton, the Marines. And he's probably not in that place right now. He's already spent his little lunch money and spare money in a couple of shops somewhere, you know, down south. And, you know, he had to get a trailer to get his car up there. So right away, you know, while he's still there, the car came off the trailer, you know, flashlight, crank it over, yep, no spark. Look in the pistons, it's got plugs. And so, you know, pull off the oil filter, open it up with him right there. You know, his buddy's still there, and sure enough, inside looks like, you know, panning for gold, you know, lots of sparkles. I get underneath the car, we jack up one side, I pry the, you know, stick a big screwdriver in the bell housing, pry it over. Okay, Robert, step on the clutch. You just see the whole thing go thunk, you know, a good 1/4 inch, you know, side to side, you know, crank walk. So bring him in, put him in the crying chair, and these are your options. You know, it's like a funeral home. You can have this casket, you can have this casket. You know, here's the option. You want flowers, what kind of headstone? You know, it's just like lay it all out there, and they go sobbing. And, you know, they can get, you know, I don't know what kind of credit card he's got. He's asking if we, you know, take a down payment, and if we can take payments, and of course we can't. You know, if the bank's not going to loan somebody money, why would I loan them money if they don't have a credit card they could take? You know, who's got a credit card that can take an $8,000 hit? That's somebody in their 20s, and especially in the Marines. So, yeah, he wants 500 horsepower, but that's what he wants. Does he need it? Probably not. You know, so the block's probably dead. The crank's definitely dead. You know, probably, you know, even a dealer short block and just, you know, get it running, still going to hit $6,000 in a few minutes. So your buddy's still here with the trailer. What we recommend is just back on the trailer, take it home, think about it. Obviously, you guys, you know, he's got a truck. When you're not deployed, you're not something, save up your money, think about what you want to be, what you want to do when you grow up. Is this car forever? Is this car for now? Used motor, new motor, built motor. Right now, you got all these options, but you don't need to do anything right now, because if you're not going to sign a repair order and leave a deposit of parts to get things moving, we can't keep the car. But, you know, we didn't charge him anything. And, you know, for doing what we did, we spent a good hour and a half with the guy and ended up just putting the car back on the trailer, and he took it back home. And, you know, we'll hear from him in a week, a month, a year, who knows, you know, but it's just, you know, he left without having to pay anything, even though we all, you know, jumped in on the car, you know, late at night.
I've been there. I've done the same thing before.
Yeah. So,
give people
you know,
the
that's
bad
it.
news.
Yeah. So, it's, you know, just that's the kind of shop we are. You know, we could have slammed, oh yeah, you just need a motor, it's going to cost you about $5,000, and then later it's going to be 65, and, you know, or, you know, you got something you're going to slam into. Could have done that, but just, you know, don't feel like doing it to that guy. And, you know, turned away, big old job that would have really made the month. But, you know, it's better you think about what you want to do. And I'm sure there's, you know, people, shops that would have just like, I got the package for you. And, you know, all you got to do is, you know, or here's some financing, or, you know, you sign them up with one of those, you know, GE credit things with no interest, no payment for a while, then they hit you later. But, you know, the guy really needs to think about what he wants to do with the car. And it's about doing right for the customer. And then that's what generates the best goodwill over time. You know, there's, you know, some shops that take all your money and then some until you just got nothing left. But, you know, that's just what we had. That was the right thing to do for these guys at that time.
And I think that's one of the struggles. I know what you mean, like having a big car, and people always say, but Rosie's business, Mike is business. So I think that's what my point. We always trying to help, but then we sometimes forget we're there for a business.
Do you guys have a 1-year plan for the business?
Rosie wants a new truck, so whatever it takes. For her
That's a good plan.
Sports car.
That's a good plan.
So she's on that plan.
What about a 5-year plan?
Yes, I do. I do have a 5-year plan. So I'm working on getting my new website so I can actually get more mail order and attracting more new customers. And that will give me my dream. That actually I do have I want to buy my own shop. I want to have my own shop, my own personality and brand new shop. And so
by her own shop, she means she wants to own instead of lease, not have her own. Like
I want to buy it. I don't want to lease.
Right.
Oh, okay.
When she says she wants her own, she wants to own the shop. A little bit of translation here. She wants to own the shop and not lease a shop.
Okay. So she doesn't want to go start Road Race Rosie's right next
Rosie,
door, huh? And compete against it.
No.
Okay.
That could have been misconstrued there.
Oh yeah, no. I want to buy a shop.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
not another shop. She wants to be the owner of the building that the shop is in.
gotcha. So Road Race
The Road
Engineering
Race
will move
Engineering-
into the property that you're buying.
That she
brand
buys
new
it.
shop, open house in 5 years. Yes.
Okay.
Let's do this.
That's a good plan. That's the approach I'm taking, and we're moving into our building here in about a month. So
Woo, awesome.
yeah, it's a lot of money though. It's very expensive. It's kind of one of those things that you're like, do I really want to do this or do I not want to do it? You know. So
I'd be happy for that new shop to be somewhere in the middle of nowhere that you have to drive really far and be really determined to come to, and not just like stop in for no reason.
yep.
I'd be happy being the grumpy old guy at the end of the dirt road with a bunch of dogs barking and only work on Evos and nothing else. But she wants to take over the world and work on all the cars.
Yes, I do.
Jaded experience and youthful enthusiasm and just all she has everything can be done with enthusiasm, and then I balance it out with some experience.
All right. So can you guys give us an action item to kind of take away from this that our listeners can use to improve their situation?
Racing in Mexico is really cool.
So go to Mexico and go racing and try it out, huh?
Yeah.
I would say we always gonna have a struggle, especially if you like a small family business or whatever you're doing in life. What I will say, never give up. That you always gotta keep trying and always study and look with research, to always trying to do best, personal and business and family, and always put your heart in everything you do. And I think especially pray. Oh, I'm sorry to bring in that relation, but I think that's been a part of my personal, just always.
Well, you're very
Just be
inviting.
happy.
You're very inviting and very friendly everywhere you go. Because I remember even Global Time Attack or Super Lap Battle, you guys were cooking fajitas, and you're like, "Hey, come over and have some." I'm like, "Okay, I don't know anybody here but you guys, so." That was really nice.
I would say too, if nothing has stopped me, like moving here, 8 years ago, right, and 6 years ago. So as you can hear me, with my accent, and I still there working hard every day. You guys, many of people who's listening right now, they do have the tools, the perfect English, college, education. So if nothing has stopped me, anything is possible. So you always gotta follow your dreams and follow your heart. That's what I always say. That's what my dad always say. Work harder and harder and harder every day and be honest. And I think that's the whole key. And I think everything will be awesome. So.
Yeah. And then for me, it'd be be ready for change, because change will always be coming. Cars, going to be electric cars. There's going to be, new smog regulation rules are coming down. Just when we thought we were the king eclipses, the Evos come out, or, all of a sudden there's, just, the Messenger was the big deal. Then Facebook comes out, kills Messenger. Yahoo's going out of business. Things are changing. Just when you think you're the king, you got it down, things are changing. So try to look forward. Not that it's going to do you much good in some ways, but keep looking forward and be ready to change and adapt. Try to stay nimble, because things will not stay the same. It can't. It's the way you do business. As when you jumped onto Facebook or when you jumped on the internet. There's guys, little DSM guys, Diamond Star Specialties. Really never really got on the internet bus at all, and they're gone. There's other. It's whether or not you jumped on the forums at the right time, whether or not you jumped on Facebook at the right time. When you get what your website looks like. Did you get your website optimized for mobile in time? I didn't, but gee, you sure should have or could have, and then what's going to be even next coming down the road between the cars, how you do business, the tools. It's just constantly be looking forward, because different stuff will be coming. Just when you think you got it down, you don't, and something else is going to be coming. So it'd be interesting to look at some real good 5-year plans and then see how things changed. It's like,
almost certainly all of them change. Yeah.
From where you are now, but then you go that 5-year plan. Now that's off the end of the pier and somewhere else, and there's something else coming down the road.
Good advice.
So be ready to be nimble, because you're going to have to be.
So let's work on closing this thing out here. So these are our quick answer questions. So just kind of say the first thing that comes to mind. What software program are you guys using daily? So you said QuickBooks and MSA, but what about like tuning? What are you using for that?
Well, since we're Evo, it's EvoScan and OpenECU. We also tune with Rick at Shop. He uses Cobb and Ecutech and HP tuners, depending on the car. So the car is more than anything is going to determine what you tune with. So
you guys are a little bit of everything there.
Yeah, other stuff, but primarily it's the open source, OpenECU,
okay,
and EvoScan for us, because we do so much Evo. But if you do Subarus, you're going to do Cobb. If you're doing FRS, it's going to be Cobb or Ecutech. If you're doing something V8, it's going to be HP tuners, or so that's just based on what we do. If it's aftermarket ECU, we prefer AEM. It's Infinity, so we're using their software. But Sam at the shop, he can tune. His little hashtag is I can tune a fish. He's the one that tunes. You come in, you got an NLS stuck in a Miata with a Mega Squirt. You got one guy's got a Mercedes supercharged AMG in the back of a dune buggy. Had some little homemade dune buggy with a Toyota MR2 turbo motor in it in the back, and he had, I forget, some little ECU I'd never heard of. Sam just jumps on it and he figures it out and he tunes it. He does the chromed ECU on the 3000 GT, DSM link, or so Sam does all the weird stuff along with normal stuff too. So it just depends on the car. So I got one guy at the shop that can pretty much jump on and wrap his mind around anything. And then, Rick, he does tuning he uses our dyno, and he does HP tuners, Cobb and Ecutech along with OpenECU. Chris Jensen uses our dyno quite a bit. He can tune Vipers and does HP tuners and AEM. He used to be one of the AEM tuners. Bo Brown and Mitch, both from AEM, use our dyno. That's our dyno's their preferred dyno, just because flexible hours and the dyno pack's nice and safe. And we're good on the price, so we get a lot of the nomad tuners using our dyno also.
The freelance guys, huh?
Yeah, but they're like Bo Brown, he's pretty sharp.
Okay.
Young kid, so he had a DSM back in the day, and he was one of the shop urchins, around hanging out at the shop. Then he got his good job at AEM, but he still knows where to go for dyno. And
what's your favorite app that you guys use on your phone? And this can be anything from Facebook to if you have a game or something, just anything on your phone. What are you using?
Myself, well, back to the software thing. Being if you don't have video or pictures to put up, then it didn't happen. I don't use Photoshop much, but I do use Vegas Pro for video editing on the laptop. On the phone, I'm probably Instagram, aside from kind of texting a lot more than I'd like to.
Nope.
There's customers that got my number.
Me, haha. So, what's your favorite shop tool?
Actual tool?
Yeah.
The big hammer. There's been stories about the big hammer. Right now, the big hammer is mostly retired. It holds the wideband in the tailpipe of the cars.
Okay.
But there's stories about the BFG. You can, in the BFH. I mean, Dave Coleman's got a really good story on Sport Compact Car about the BFH. You have to Google that somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what are you driving right now?
Today I drove box van to Palm Springs and back out by Chuckwalla, but I drive either a Jeep or an old Dodge. I don't get to drive what I'd like to drive, but last week I've driven my XR650, Honda Dual Sport, to go-karts, to just utility trucks, to I don't get to drive my fun cars enough.
What are your fun cars, Mike, that you have in the garage?
Well, we talked about them earlier, the 89 Colt hatch, turbo hatchback, Mirage Colt hatchback, and the old Volkswagen truck.
Okay. And what do you guys think the future of automotive performance is going to be?
Probably not what it is now, but we got electric cars coming out, but I'm not sure. That would be more computer hackery and trying not to have them catch fire. As you watching them at Pikes Peak, it just seems like everything they're doing is trying not to set the thing on fire as it charges quickly and discharges quickly.
And not let the smoke out, right?
Right. So if you're going to be performance with electric cars, not that I know anything about them, but just from what I've seen, charging, discharging software and actual physical cooling, that's going to be the future, because they're going to have to be electric cars. We're talking, 20, 40 years from now, it's going to be electric cars, I think. Yep. The gasoline engine's obviously dying and going to be legislated out of existence just little by little through attrition. And, we're personally assisting in killing EVOs, so they're not going to be EVOs forever.
There's a limited supply of engines you can put in them, right?
Right, and at some point, just going around. That's the hardest thing with DSMs. I still almost prefer a first-gen DSM, but you can't get parts for it.
Okay.
It's just getting really hard to get parts. So finding a core 6-bolt block, finding transmission parts. The guys are going automatic trannies now just because you can't get any, 5-speed parts, and they don't last anyway. So, you can buy body shells still. Here in California, cars don't rust or rot away. But getting, reliable cores to work with is getting more and more difficult. So we used to work on the 323 GTX, and 15 years ago we couldn't get any parts for those little cars. It only sold 1,400 for all of North America. So that we just had to stop working on the car because we just couldn't get any parts for it. There's one or two still running, but the car's just gone. And so the DSM.
Tell them not to break it then.
Yeah, but then how do you have fun with it without breaking it?
You don't. Right.
So, the DSM's starting to really be affected by that. And at some point, EVOs, we went to buy a frame rail for Roy's car. He launched it in the air at Pikes Peak this year. Went to buy a frame rail for it, and it's discontinued by Mitsubishi.
Oh, wow.
The whole frame rail apron is discontinued. Luckily, there's some place that bought up like the last inventory. They probably got 10, 15 of them. Some kind of obsolete parts place still had, some of them, and the price was like $500, not too bad. But, even the Evo's starting to have parts discontinued for it.
I'm going to have to stock up on engine stuff then. Okay, and how do we connect with your guys' company?
Our website's roadraceengineering.com. I maintain a blog of sorts of stories. That's, mostly the race stuff. And there's stories even including the big jump back to 1994. I got stories all the way back that far. On Instagram, it's Road Race Engineering. On Facebook, Road Race Engineering Official, I believe. Somebody just made some random Road Race Engineering. Facebook, being the lame piece of shit thing it is, doesn't let you change that. I hate Facebook, by the way. And
you don't hate Facebook. Don't say that, because it's just being like what he said. What he wants to be in 5 years, he wants to be an old grashy guy with a Rachel. I think he's just doing that now. He doesn't hate Facebook. I think he's just so busy that he doesn't have time for that, and nothing wrong with that. So.
All right.
I hate Facebook. Anyway.
No, you don't.
And then what else do we use? That's about it. We don't do Twitter. Not the 40 words artist or 140 words artist, really. We're more visual. Okay. And but yeah, there's some stuff that just email is the best way, because email we can just decide who can answer that, whether it's parts or service, or it's much easier to forward and copy a couple people and include a PDF quote, which somebody asked for something on Facebook. It's kind of hard to I can't take it and copy two different people and have one of them forward back something and have a long back and forth discussion in a little tiny box. It lets you have a better detailed record of the conversation, and we do really good with email. But then some people phone call and answer the phones when we can. But if we're not answering the phones because somebody's standing there in person, it's not like we're all watching it ring while we're laughing at the caller ID. But it's if we don't answer the phone, it's because we're talking on the phone. We got 4 phones, 4 lines. But there's sometimes when we're in a busy metropolitan area, so we got people walking in the door, standing there talking, and somebody else is on the phone, somebody's on hold, running out to get a shop, or see what's going on with the car. So there's times when the phone doesn't ring for an hour, and there's times when it's got 3-4 lines lit up all at once. So if you're on the phone, leave a message, check all the messages, get back to everybody every day. But you got to leave a number we can actually call you at, and intelligible. But for leaving a message or quick stuff, email works really good. So I'm on email all day. That's my primary tool, I would say. Okay. Is answering email and playing a mechanic on the internet. That's what I do.
All right. Well, hey, I wanted to thank you both for taking the time to talk with us and share your story. And Rosie, congratulations on being the first woman on Do It for a Living. It's taken us 91 episodes to get a woman, I guess, but that's her own fault.
Oh my gosh, that's so awesome. That's so cool. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you. We really love you guys so much, and hopefully to hear more wonderful stories from all that industry family.
Hey, thanks a lot, Kevin. Been cool.
Thanks for listening to Do It for a Living. You can find out more about this guest, this show, and even details about what we just talked about at our website, doitforaliving.net. Check out the Facebook page at facebook.com/doitforaliving and tell us who you want to hear from. And most importantly, subscribe to the podcast.